Hi there, if you've never watched my channel before, my name's Hayley, I'm 26 years old, I'm based here in the UK and I'm on a journey to create a dividend portfolio that will pay me a passive income stream. I only started investing a couple of years ago, but this year in particular, I've really developed an interest for dividend investing, specifically dividend growth investing, as I just find it so motivating and rewarding to see those dividends come in and to grow them over time. I by no means think a high dividend yield or dividends replace a good quality company, but if you can do the two at the same time, I don't think there's any harm in that. Alongside investing into some individual stocks that pay a dividend, I also like to have some ETFs on hand as well, just to get that full diversification. If you've not been around to my channel before, then every single month I share 2 portfolio updates. I share my Vanguard portfolio update, which is my ISA that I had last year, which is still an open account and it's still accumulating. That's not really dividend specific as such, although it does pay me some dividends. And then I also share my portfolio that I have for my ISA this year, which is on Interactive Brokers. On top of those portfolios, I'm also going to be sharing how much money my dividend portfolio or my portfolios pay me every single month. This way, hopefully it's interesting to you guys, but also it helps me track and they're just really fun to do. I like watching them myself, so I thought I'd give it a go. So here we are on my dividend tracker. I made this myself. There is a link available in the description if you want to check it out. But essentially, I'm just tracking my own dividends outside of my Interactive Brokers portfolio. Even though that's really good and it gives a ton of information, I like to be able to pick and choose exactly what I see at a snapshot. So I've made this portfolio tracker and I'm really enjoying it so far. But anyway, the point of the video today is to share how much my portfolios paid me in the month of October. So the first thing just to point out is that there's 2 portfolios being tracked here. So any amounts in pink have come from my Vanguard portfolio. The only dividend payer that I have on that portfolio is my S&P 500 tracker, which is VUSA. And I also have that on Interactive Brokers as well, hence why in this column there's a mixture of pink and orange. Orange meaning that it's come from my Interactive Brokers portfolio. You'll see that there are 2 cells in this spreadsheet as black and this one here, but that just means that I got paid twice, so from 2 different stocks or 2 different funds in the month of October. And you can see the previous data here as well. And we'll have a look at this top bit once I've revealed how much I got paid in October. So let's take a look. It's not going to be massive numbers. This is very early on, but the whole point is to see it compound and grow over time. So the first one you can see here is from VUSA, and it is £16.80, and that came from my Vanguard portfolio as it's in pink. £16.80 in one dividend from VUSA. This sounds so silly because I'm sure a lot of you out there have been paid a lot more dividends, or you watch people that are getting, a couple of thousand a month. But for me, that was a really big milestone. I got over £15 in one dividend payment. I had to look twice, I'm not going to lie. So that just means that the total that VUSA have paid me between the 2 portfolios is £42.37, which again, I was, if you look across here, and this one you'll see in a minute, that is by far the largest amount. And that's because I've had VUSA in 2 accounts and I've had it for the longest out of any other company or fund here. And I have the largest amount in it as well, which we'll get onto in a minute. If you guys didn't know, VUSA is basically an S&P 500 ETF. So it just tracks the S&P 500, which of course is made up of the 500, it's about 505 largest US companies. So these are the really large cap companies, the massive ones, your Apple, your Tesla, your Microsoft, the big boys in the market. And with the US being the largest market in the world, the largest economy in the world, it's a really good one to have in my opinion. And you could argue that it lacks diversification because it's just the US market, but I don't think it does, because these companies that make up the S&P 500, they're global companies. They're all around the world. They're not just bringing in sales in America. You've only got to travel somewhere and see someone holding an Apple phone to know that that's not the case. Same with Microsoft, same with all the companies, a lot of these companies in the S&P 500. So you may be wondering, okay, you got paid £16.80. How much did you have to have invested to actually get that £16.80? So this this has come from Vanguard because it's in pink. So the total amount that I have in VUSA on Vanguard is 4,260. That's a total amount that I put in. That's not what VUSA on my Vanguard is worth now because, as the market goes up and down, the amount that my investment is worth also goes up and down. But the amount that I put in to VUSA on my Vanguard account, which generated these dividends here in pink, was £4,260. We all know it's been a rough time in the market right now, and over the last 1 month, VUSA is down by 1.88%. Over the last 6 months, down by just under a percentage, which I don't think is all that bad. And then year to date, VUSA is down by near 7%. So again, I don't think that's too bad. But the thing with dividends is if you're investing in good quality funds, so ETFs, index funds, or you're investing in really good quality stocks, it doesn't necessarily matter the day-to-day fluctuations, the month-to-month, the year-to-year fluctuations of those stocks. If they're just having a little bit of a bad time because the general economy is having a bad time, the general market's not very good, you are still getting those dividends. And that can really, really help an investor stay on track and stay motivated. And that's the most important thing with long-term investing, right? It's how motivated you can stay to stay in investing and to keep investing. And it's quite hard for a new investor to remain motivated when, they look at their portfolio and it's all just doom and gloom. Everything's down, everything's red. You see you're losing money and you just think, this isn't for me. What's the point? I may as well just go and enjoy this money. It's obviously not doing anything. How on earth is this ever going to help me retire? That's really easy to think. But if you're seeing those dividends come in, that can be a way to actually stay motivated to try and build a passive income stream. And it's definitely working for me. I'm really, really enjoying tracking these dividends and seeing them come in. But like I said at the beginning of the video, I don't think getting a lot of dividends should replace not investing in good ETFs, good index funds, good companies. I think that should always come first. And then if you can find really good companies, good funds that also pay a dividend, my opinion is why not? As long as you've got the good fundamentals, if it also pays a dividend, win-win in my opinion. And I think VUSA is that. VUSA is not a high dividend yield. It doesn't pay you so much dividends like you could probably get out there. But it's a really good one to have. And the fact that it is a distributing fund anyway, for me, that's even better. I had this fund before I was interested in dividends, so I've just kept it going. And then if we zoom out to the 5-year mark, we see, a much nicer picture, up by nearly 70%, which is really, really good. Obviously, we had the big dip here in 2020, which then saw a really, really amazing recovery. And then let's just take a look at it on DividendMax, which is one of my favorite dividend-specific websites. Do check it out. You can get memberships, I think, which probably give you more functionality, but I just use it for free and it's really, really helpful. So you can pretty much type in any fund or stock and it will tell you a lot of information about their dividends. So you can see that VUSA is a quarterly dividend payer. So they pay me 4 times a year. And you can see some information here about when they're next going to pay. 28th of December, 2022. I look forward to that date. And the ex-dividend date. So that just means the ex-dividend date is when you had to have had money in this fund in order to get the upcoming dividend. And today's dividend yield for VUSA is 1.7. So it's a very respectable number. It's not crazy. It's not 10%. It's not 8%. It's not 12%. But if you're going to hold it anyway because you want to invest in the S&P 500, then this is quite a nice amount of dividends to get. Another thing that I like to look at is this button here, annual dividends. So we can see whether this fund or a company has been increasing their dividends year on year, which if you're trying to follow dividend growth investing specifically, it's really, really helpful. But I think if a dividend can year on year increase their dividends, that's normally a good sign. You don't want to see them going up and down and going crazy and trying to offer a really high dividend that they then can't sustain and they're having to drop it or cut it completely. You can just hover over these to see a clearer picture. But yeah, it's safe to say that they have been increasing their dividends year on year. Had a little dip here expected in 2020, but really that wasn't a dip at all. It's pretty much stayed the same. So that's quite impressive. And hopefully they'll continue to increase their dividends as well. The next company that paid me in the month of October was Diageo. You can see from my tracker here that they haven't actually paid me before. So I've held this company when I first started my dividend portfolio back in April 22. 2020, April this year, but they haven't actually paid me yet. So this was quite an exciting one, and it meant I got to add a new column onto my tracker. So let's have a look how much they paid me. So they paid me £2.34 in dividends, which I know is not crazy, and compared to 16.80, it's not insane, but it's a nice amount, and it's gonna drip feed back into reinvesting, which I'll get onto in a minute, and building and accumulating over time. And you can see that this is in orange, so this actually came from my current ISA, which is on Interactive Brokers. And then down here, you can see the total that each company or fund, in the case of VUSA, has actually paid. Obviously, this one so far is £2.34, but some of them have paid me a number of times, and I've added the total together, just so I can see where most of the money's coming from. And this will also help me when I'm deciding what to put more money into and things like that. So Diageo is a company, like I said, that I have on Interactive Brokers, and I don't have a very large position in it right now at all. I will be looking to add when I feel like the time is right. Not necessarily time in the market, but when I have extra money to throw in and I want to put it in that company. So I have £197, that's all, in this company. And so far, they've paid me £2.34 in dividends. Diageo is a producer of beverages, alcoholic ones in particular, very, very popular ones. Your Smirnoff, your Johnny Walker, your Baileys, many, many more. You literally will know most of them. And they're a global company. These are products being sold all around the world. So how have they been performing recently? The last month, they've been down by 3.4%. 6 months, nearly 5%. Year to date, 12.23%. And if we go to 5 years, up by 41%. Let's just max it out quickly. So we can see that in the last, since the end of 2021, they've sort of been bouncing. They've been going up and down and up and down. So I'm ready for them to sort of have a little takeoff again. You can see from this graph, they are an absolutely fantastic company to invest in. And it seems like everyone wants their beverages, no matter what the financial situations around the world are. So Diageo are an interim payer, meaning they pay twice a year, which is a bit weird for me because most of my stocks are actually quarterly payers, and that's what I'm used to now. And that's why they haven't actually paid me until October, just because they pay twice a year. And if we have a look at their yield, it sits at 2.1%. Like I said, I'm not chasing high dividend yields. Like Rio Tinto, I want that company anyway, and they have a high dividend yield. So that for me is like fantastic. But I would rather have a company that I can see doing well over the long haul, that pays a slightly lower dividend yield than one that pays really high, but it's a real gamble and it's a real risk. Let's just have a look how they have been dealing with their dividends. Yeah, this is a fantastic picture for a dividend growth investor or anyone that is interested in dividends. They've literally been increasing their dividends year on year. Let me just have a look here. Yeah, look, you can see since 2007. That is really impressive, and I hope they continue to do that because that's a really, really good sign. So back onto the tracker now. I can show you some other sections which I couldn't show you before because it would have ruined the big surprise. Not that it was that interesting, I'm sure, but so here I like to track the amount of dividends that I get every single month, and then I show it graphically. So something that's really exciting is that October was my largest month so far, and I said the same in September. So the fact that it's happened again, it's just so encouraging, and it's really, really, it's a good sign to see for me. I do realise that September, October, that sort of time of year, that does tend to be the period of time where most dividends come in, just because companies pay during that time, and then it's going to dry up at the beginning of the next year, I'm sure. But it's still good, it's slowly snowballing. And to get nearly £20 in October, it's kind of a milestone for me. A little one, of course, but a milestone nevertheless. And the total amount that I've been paid between the two portfolios so far is £62.78p. I've only included from April 2022. So I'm sure I would have got some dividends from VUSA before that point. But yeah, I've only included from that date onwards, just so it's a clear cut off between the tax years. I alluded to this earlier, but my plan with this dividend portfolio is to not withdraw any of the dividends at this point. None at all. I'm going to reinvest them every single time I can, increase my positions in my stocks and funds, and just keep building and snowballing those dividends. Because obviously, if you get a dividend of a 2% dividend yield, and then you reinvest the dividends that you get, you are then increasing your position in that stock. Therefore, that 2% dividend yield is of a larger amount. So then it becomes more. And that's how it just keeps snowballing and snowballing and snowballing. And there's lots of YouTubers that I watch that are interested in dividend investing as well. And they've been doing this for a lot longer than me. So they show their, how their dividends have grown over months and years and years. And you can clearly see the trend. There's little peaks and troughs because months, there's different months that pay different amounts. But over the long haul, it very much goes like this. And I would love to get to a point in the near future. Who am I kidding? In the future, down the road, where my portfolio is worth a really juicy amount of money outside of my pension. So, I'm talking a few $100,000, maybe even more if I'm lucky. And then that portfolio is paying me, I don't know, these are numbers I'm pulling out of thin air just so I can show you where I'm trying to get to. Maybe £1,000 to £2,000-ish per month, which obviously is going to be not worth as much in the future as it is now because of inflation, but you get the point. And then on top of that, I will be looking near retirement to either, maybe withdraw 3% to top that up so I can live on the dividends plus the 3% withdrawal or whatever it may be. But I'm really motivated right now to keep doing this and I'm really enjoying sharing it. So I hope it is interesting for you guys. I'll be back with another video very shortly. And of course, this time next month, I'll be sharing the dividends that I got paid in the month of November. So watch out for that. But anyway, thank you for watching and I'll see you very shortly.